What's going on YouTube? I am Hot Mess MUA, otherwise known as Vanessa, and this is my first video back since I filmed in December, which is a long time considering I was filming multiple times during the week, and I'm just going to give a quick reasoning as to why. I did film a get ready with me and the footage was kind of shot, so it really came down to a couple different things. My work schedule was nuts. I was scheduled like 7 straight, and then I had a day off. I also work swing shift, so I get off work at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and by the time I was getting home, I was exhausted, and I did not pre-film like I should have. I was like trying to get things done, and right in the middle of that, I got the flu. Like illness, sickness, something. I was not feeling good. So it was like that force to try to film for the sake of hot mess. It wasn't happening. So then when I started to feel better and actually had some time off, then I felt overwhelmed by the amount of like garbage I'd accumulated, product that I had to talk about, and I just could not find my way back in. So I am re-inspired. I'm ready to take on the new year 2018, and for my first video I actually want to talk about products that I'd like to try in 2018. It's not a huge groupage of products because I'm really trying to this year purchase purposefully. So every month when I need an eyebrow pencil, you know, a new concealer every couple months, or foundation, like those things need to be the priority. And then if an indie brand that I know and love releases something and I can make it happen, then I will. But I'm in this realization now that I have a small channel. It doesn't pay for anything. I've never even gotten a check from YouTube. So I have to do what's right for, you know, myself and my life. But then you start to realize you have so much shit that you're never going to use. It's going to go bad. So while I love reviewing product, I need to be really purposeful in what I pick. A long time ago, when I first started getting into makeup, I would watch videos all about one palette. Say I was into the Too Faced chocolate bar. I would watch series of reviews and tons of swatch videos. And then once I got a palette, it wasn't like, what am I gonna get next? It was like, I watched all these videos and tutorials on how to do things with that palette. And now it's this constant overload of buy. And then you can't even use the stuff. So I kind of want to get back to that. And I don't want my channel to be a place of constantly overloading people with, oh, you should buy this. I'm not saying that I'm on a no buy, but I'm on a kind of down that road. So these are the list of some of the brands that I'd like to try this year. That doesn't mean that I'm going to hop on the internet and pick up anything now. That means I have a whole year. So if I purchase something in July, then I will do a review in July. There's no rush on this. So number 1 on the list is Nabla Cosmetics. Now, one of the reasons why I have not purchased from Nabla before, even though I've heard such good things about them, one of my favorite Instagrammers, Angela Mary Tanner, talks about them all the time. She has a great blog. I've mentioned it many times on my channel. It's called Our Beauty Cult with ColourPop Cult. They work in tandem, and they both talk about Nabla. The swatches are beautiful. But the main reason why I have not purchased from this company before is because they have a lot of singles. And I am one that once I discover I really like a brand, then I want it all. And I know what that means to me. It means like I sometimes have to stay away from things that I know that I will become obsessive about and want them all. Sydney Grace, for example. I love the brand, and once I was discovered to it, then I wanted everything. And it's not feasible. Not at this point in my YouTube career. So I figured that I would start my first purchase with their Dreamy palette because it is one thing. And maybe I'll pick out a couple singles, but I may not because I want to stick to not over purchasing again. So the Nabla palette looks beautiful, it looks creamy. I'm impressed with all the videos that I've seen or the various swatches. So that would be number one. Number two, which I am super late to the game, is the Melt Cosmetics Stacks. Now that is another reason why I have not purchased from this brand. As beautiful as some of these stacks look, they're expensive, number one. Number two, there's so many of them. The collector in me would be like, and I've had them all in my cart before, believe me, at like $300 worth of eyeshadows. And when I break it down, I'm like, I know that I have this neutral brown color. I know I have that pukey yellow transition color. So I have stopped myself, and I know that I'd like to try the formula. I'd like to review them. So I'll probably start with something like She's in Parties because it is a little bit different. But again, that's a brand that I'd like to try. The third brand that I'd like to try,
I know, again, I'm late.
Dose of Colors. So the thing with Dose of Colors is, as much as I've heard wonderful things, the formula is amazing, blah, 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 they're colors that I know I own in single form. Now, since discovering the 5-pan palettes from Sydney Grace and the convenience of slipping one of those in my purse, I now see not the need, but the want to have, you know, palettes that are that kind of...
No, me? Baby?
You're the baby. Are you the baby? She came over to tell me the baby. So back to Dose of Colors. Again, I know that I already have very similar colors, but I like that they're all gradient and they look beautiful, and heard wonderful things about the formula, but that has been one of the reasons why I haven't purchased, because I'm like, the amount of single eyeshadows I have, do I need 5 altogether? Couldn't I just take a mini palette and put 5 gradienting shades? So that is something later on in the future I would like to definitely check out. The next one is Strobe Cosmetics. Now, the reason I have not done anything from Strobe, they have had huge sales, is every time I go to the website, I end up putting the whole bundle in my cart. And they're all shimmers. And I am a matte girl, so I'm like, why would anyone spend $150, $200 on a bunch of metallic eyeshadows? I don't need it. You don't need to do that. So later on, when I can control myself, I might just say, Vanessa, pick up 5. Pick up 5 and see what you think.
Excuse me. You're hitting this.
Another brand that has been on my radar has been Colored Rain. They have a lot of the same similar things where you can get their single eyeshadows, but really I'm looking at palette form. And when I saw the Cheers to Whatever palette, the big bulky blue one with the highlighter on the end, I was not inspired. The metallics look beautiful, but if I pull together all my metallics, I'm like, meh. So I've had the Queen of Hearts palette in my cart a few times, but it sold out when it went on sale, and I'm just, hey, do you have to slam that now? It's like, you know I've got the camera on. Cut it out, May. I kind of refuse to buy the Queen of Hearts palette until it is on sale. I will not buy it at full price, so that is me being kind of snooty about it. And I would definitely be down to try one of the little single palettes. So that's my thought on that. One of the little minis or Queen of Hearts, but a palette. And then my 2 that are high end kind of stays in that same thing where you're like, no, not gonna do it. Not gonna spend that kind of money. But Natasha De Nonna, I'm interested in either the Lila palette or the big green purple palette, because I want to know what all the hype is about. And there's nowhere where you can, well, I guess you can go swatch it. I guess they're at Sephora now. I haven't even checked. But I'd like to own a Natasha De Nonna. That sounds silly, huh? Like I want to own a Gucci bag or a BMW. Same kind of thought process. I want to try it out. And Viseart. I know, for an eyeshadow junkie, I don't own any Viseart, but it's that same kind of thought process where it's that fear because of the price point that if I love it, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna want them all. And I already love so many things. I love Luxie, I love Divina, I love Makeup Geek. And so when you already have these things that you salivate when you see releases and you're like, no, you don't need it right now. So on my list for Viseart is the Pro Palette, the Dark Mattes, and the Editorial Brights. I don't need another neutral palette, but I definitely want to try the formula. But I have this fear that I'm going to love them. And every time I add them all to my Beautylish cart gets up to $2,000. And that's crazy. That's insane. Yeah. So these are the brands that I'd like to try in 2018. And some of the reasons why I haven't tried them as of yet. Sometimes I go the opposite when it comes to hype. If I see something's overly hyped, I put a break on it. And some of these things are on my list because they're hyped and people still say they're good. So you kind of are like, well, maybe I need to know. Maybe I can just find a friend in the internet and they'll let me play with theirs. That would be a great option too. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'm glad to be back. We'll see you in the next video. Mwah. Bye.